Hi, I'm Liron Cohen.
And I'm Mimi Torchin.
And you're listening to Lady Parts TV, the podcast.
Whee!
Hello, and happy Native American Heritage Day.
Oh, happy.
Yes, and you're hearing it the day after, but hello, everybody. We hope you had a good and safe Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, yes, without tons and tons of people or traveling.
We are thankful for you in case we haven't mentioned that before.
Oh,
so
indeed
thank you
we are.
For walking on this path with us all these years.
Have you been drinking, Liron?
I don't tell you what I do in the hours before you get up.
Yes.
Anyway, hello. We have excellent stats for this 85th
They were amazing,
podcast of
weren't
us.
they? 85th podcast.
We only tallied 11 shows, but out of which 9, which is an 82%, written or co-written by women, and 7, which is 64%,
Amazing.
Directed by women, which I believe is the best stats we've ever had.
I think so.
So, yay!
Yay!
And good stuff to tell you about. And also this weekend, we are posting our lesbian movie club about
Ammonite.
So you better watch it because you'll want to watch it.
Because it's good.
It's good. Yeah.
I don't know.
And the rest we'll tell you about.
I don't know about the movie club, but the movie.
Oh, well, I think the Lesbian Movie Club is going to be good
superb.
because we're very passionate about this movie and we're going to have a lot to say about it. So anyway, join us this weekend when we post it as well. And we're going to start you off with something we are very excited about. And we've mentioned this before, but we're going to...
Yes, because we watched it in its other format.
Right, but it has been re-released and reimagined. And here is Mimi to tell you about it because it has to do with somebody very special, who is very special to me, but she was the one who introduced me to her, so I defer to her.
Yes, we're talking about Kelly O'Hara, of course, who is a goddess to me. In case you haven't heard of it, it's called The Accidental Wolf. And it started off again as a
tiny web
show.
series.
Yeah, that went much too fast. And we even sent in $20 to make sure there was a second season. So I don't know if that helped add the extra material that they added this time or if it helped towards the second season, which is in the works. So we're very, very happy. We feel sort of proprietary. Anyway, it's fantastic.
I just want to say we're talking right now about still the first season.
Yes.
But Topic has acquired it, and Topic is the one who commissioned the second season.
Thank you, Topic.
And so they reworked it and reimagined it and re-released season 4. This time, instead of having 10 tiny web episodes, they released 4 kind of 20 to 30 minute episodes on Topic, and it was released yesterday. Well, for you, 2 days ago, November 26th.
I noticed a tiny little bit here that maybe I hadn't seen, a tiny little bit here that maybe I hadn't seen. Obviously, the first, they all start off with a little, like a
cold opening
of something that you don't know exactly what it's going, and then it pays off later on. But this thing hasn't paid off yet. The very, very first one, so it'll be part of next season. Anyway, it's created by Tony Award nominated and award-winning director, writer, actor Ariane Moayed.
Well, apparently
he's in Succession. I think he's done a brilliant job. It's just so well written. It's so fantastically directed. It's about a woman who answers a phone, and on the phone is something shocking. Somewhere in Africa, it's the middle. They're being bombed. It has to do with some kind of a plant or a.
Well, we don't know at that point.
Yeah, we don't know for sure, but they do. The wife is pregnant. The husband keeps saying, "We aren't infected. We aren't infected," and Tala is his wife, and she's pregnant, and then bam, bing, boom. They're gone. You can't. She tries to get in touch with them again, and she becomes obsessed with this. She becomes obsessed with Finding Tala. I don't know what really would make her think that they would have made it to America.
I think what we see about her actual life is that she's married to a rich man, but their marriage is very cold.
Yes, she has a baby.
She has a new baby, but she was also raised in a very rich, entitled, privileged family, and she just feels like her entire life is kind of fake. And this is something that has meaning. These are people who are living a life that's very different from hers, and she feels
couldn't be more different.
She has some guilt for living such a privileged life, and this is something that has purpose and meaning. You know, she goes to all these.
She's very brave. She's unbelievably daring. Here is this beautiful, angelic-looking.
Which is
white
always,
woman
which
with,
is always what we
blonde
love so
hair.
much about Kelly, because she's actually so not her type.
She has
when you
so
really
much
know
edge
her,
when you see her work. First of all,
she looks like an all-American girl, but she is so edgy.
And she's such a fantastic actress.
Which you can forget if you know how well she sings,
when you
because
hear her
she is
sing,
such
it
an
sort of
angelic
overpowers
singer.
everything about her. But when you see her act in anything she does,
Right. I think that she spends her life, she spends her day with people who are all about appearances and money and stuff.
And her mother is not a nice woman.
Played by Judith Ivey,
Judith
by the way.
Ivey, who plays these not so nice women
Very
very,
well.
very well. Reed Birney plays her lovely father.
There are some interesting cameos like Emmy Landecker and Laurie Metcalf, but I think that really this is something that she finds meaning in the middle of her very kind of artificial life. And
We're
she
talking
becomes
about
completely obsessed with it.
the character, not Kelly.
Well, of course. Anyway, it's so good. It's shot amazingly.
Oh, it's brilliantly
so good.
shot. It's so fabulous to look at.
Even when it was a web series,
Yes.
It was like HBO quality.
Yeah,
It was
we were amazed.
Fantastic.
It does a lot of close-ups, but then it will do some kind of a shot that is you'd like to hang on your wall.
Well, and it's very good in creating this mysterious, almost horror. It's
definitely.
sometimes.
Well, it is kind of horror. It's really conspiracy.
It's right. It's a thriller.
It's conspiracy involving people in a third world country who have been taken advantage of.
And if you haven't figured it out yet, we really loved it.
We
and
really,
it's really
really
good. So you should
loved it.
really watch it.
Yes.
It's on Topic right now. I don't know if they released all 4 episodes at once or if they're doing it once a week, but you should check it out. Topic is becoming a much more interesting streaming service to look at. So
it's
do
really
check it out.
good. I am so glad.
It's like the counterpart to Acorn TV. They're doing things. I mean, the fact that they're doing things that were web series, they're doing international things, they're doing movies, shows. Anyway, do check it out. It's excellent.
You will
excellent,
absolutely love it. Okay?
Yes.
And if you love Kelly O'Hara, you will lose your mind.
And if you don't know Kelly O'Hara, you should know Kelly O'Hara.
Absolutely. Oh, by the way, did we mention Dennis O'Hare is also in this? Who's
Also,
always
and her
wonderful.
husband
is played by Mike Doyle, who
Right.
you will know from things.
So anyway,
The Accidental Wolf.
The Accidental
Interesting
Wolf.
title for a very
we're
interesting.
looking forward to the second season.
Yes, we are.
Okay, next, another streaming service, Sundance Now, which is going to have 4 new interesting shows. We're looking forward to telling you about. They're going to release them kind of in a staggered way every week, something new. So this week they're releasing The Commons, premiering, having its North American premiere on December 3rd. 8 episodes, a new episode every week, and it's an Australian show starring
a British.
This is called The Commons, and we'll let Mimi talk.
Yes.
And it's also created by a woman, Shelley
Burse,
who
also did The Code.
Yes, if you haven't seen The Code, it's on Acorn TV, and it's quite great. And the second season has Sigrid Thornton in it.
Oh, well, there you have it.
You had me at Sigrid.
You had me at Sigrid Thornton. Anyway, Joanne Froggatt, David Lyons, Ryan Corr, who those you may remember him from Packed to the Rafters, and another Brit, Rupert Penry Jones, and others. Anyway, as I said, it takes place in a not too distant future, but unfortunately, because the world is dying. It's just dying.
And guess what? There's also some diseases that are, it's like, and I think that they made this before the pandemic. So, obviously we're quickly, headed in that direction, which is very scary.
So there are two main things, really. One is Joanne Froggatt, who is a neuro psychologist and brilliant, and she's 38 years old, and she's desperate to have a child, and she's done about as much in vitro as she will be allowed to do, because at some point she ages out of the process. It's just something she's sort of obsessed with. But she's very, very good at what she does, at her work. And there's people, needless to say, who have a lot of problems with the world falling, climate change. It's about climate change.
Yeah.
And I wish everybody could watch it because it's a very good story, very compelling, both about interpersonal relationships and about the terrible state of world.
The second kind of story is about that disease. Her husband investigates diseases.
Right.
And there's a disease
He's a
on the
vector biologist.
Yes, there's a disease right now on the rise, and
it's these sort of flying bugs.
Yeah, that carry it.
That carry this terrible disease that they bite you, and
again you see the difference between. Climate change always all these things make the gap between the rich and the
poor.
Right, the haves and the haves not.
Yes, their lives. First of all, they're at risk for everything.
Right.
She makes a decision anyway that it's going to be dangerous for her.
I think that the show will definitely move on these two parallel stories that might converge.
It's actually three parallel stories then, because it's also climate change.
Well, yes, climate change is the underpinning of everything. So it's not even a third story; it's the story. Everything has.
They
to
have
do with
blackouts, imposed blackouts, and curfews.
This is the reason why I found it so hard to watch, actually, because it's too real.
It's too real. It's
to me.
It's like definitely a peek into the future.
Yeah, and it's very scary.
This will happen.
Very scary. Well, I mean, we're coming to the point where it's. Thank goodness Joe Biden has been elected, because we have a little bit more of a chance now of turning things around if we can globally come together.
At least we can start right again.
But the window is closing on that, and so I find it to be extremely depressing. But it's very good.
It's very good. I can't wait to continue watching it. To tell you the truth, even though it's very depressing.
Yeah, so it's called The Commons. It is on Sundance now, premiering December 3rd, and then one episode a week.
No!
Check it out. Okay, and here's a different approach to the near future that's very depressing.
Except that this is funny.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Oh.
The near future is still depressing in all these, in all these kind of premonition-y movies, but this one takes a fun approach to
because
it.
it's Melissa McCarthy.
Because it's Melissa McCarthy.
And anything Melissa McCarthy in is... She lives.
Except for the kitchen. I have to say the kitchen.
The
kitchen was...
The kitchen already left my mind.
Anyway, this is a new movie called Superintelligence. It premiered on HBO Max on Thanksgiving. Directed by Ben Falcone, who, as you know, is Melissa McCarthy's husband. And he always uses her in her movies, because if you're married to Melissa McCarthy, why would you use anybody else?
He always also makes appearances because he is an actor.
Right. And written by Steve Mallory, who also wrote almost every latest movie that Melissa McCarthy started.
Yes, he's found a very good star to hitch his computer to.
I mean, he probably writes with her in mind. And it's starring Melissa McCarthy and Bobby Cannavale.
And Gene Smart.
And Gene Smart is the president of the United States. And also James Corden in an interesting role. You will mostly hear his voice.
Well, but you will see him.
You will also
we
see
saw him way
Yeah.
more than we thought we were going to when we read the description.
Right. So this is a movie about also the near future. Well, actually, it could be now. And this is about artificial intelligence. And
one of my favorite things.
This superintelligence, artificial intelligence, that is about to become powerful enough to take over the world. And he realizes he has three choices: either let the people be, or enslave humanity, or destroy humanity. And so he decides he takes on Melissa McCarthy as who plays a character
as an every woman.
Right. Her name is Carol Peters. She's very average, or so he thinks, in every way, and he decides to observe her to try to figure the human species out to make his decision. And
to see whether or not we're worthy to stay alive.
Right. And so on one way, it does have a message, because,
yes, indeed it does.
Because even though it might appear at times a little silly, what they're saying is we're all, listen, even Elon Musk is warning people from artificial intelligence and the awareness and the capabilities that it's acquiring.
Yes. It
also a matter of time.
It is just a matter of time before we are controlled by artificial intelligence, which will become self-aware momentarily.
So, but this,
if not already.
But this takes the comedy approach to it,
yes.
And it's very funny. We laughed. Listen, Melissa McCarthy.
She can sell and almost anything.
Yes, because she's a very in that respect, even though they're very different, she reminds me of Kate McKinnon because she's a very balanced combination of hilarious but kind and sweet,
and warm. Yes.
And there is something about both of them that all I need is to look at them and I laugh. So we enjoyed it. It was just the kind of thing we need on a Thanksgiving afternoon.
Yes.
And again, it has its message, which I don't think you'll be very surprised by, but it's not a very
it's not a throwaway completely.
No, because even though the global messages might be something you would not be surprised by, the actual steps that it takes to get there are not necessarily the most anticipated ones.
No.
And Bobby Cannavale plays something very different from what he usually plays. So Superintelligence on HBO Max, available now, and
you're gonna like it.
Fun.
We need a little haha now,
especially because this is a topic that is very much talked about in very
many more movies,
post-apocalyptic kind of scenarios. So this is it's actually really interesting to take a fun approach to it.
We sort of feel, I think, because of the election that we've escaped for a few years the post-apocalypse, the apocalypse, not the post-apocalypse, the apocalypse, which was fast coming down on us.
Okay, now we have an interesting movie to talk about, which Mimi saw without me.
This is available on
KinoNow.com.
KinoNow.com. It used to be, was this
Kino Marquee, yes.
Kino Marquee.
KINO now.com.
Yes, and they're sort of like our
art house.
It's
I love
like an online art house, which I really adore. And it's Brazilian.
It's called Bakurao.
Bakurao, which is a village.
Bacurau.
In the
mountains
hills,
of Brazil.
The mountains of Brazil. And I'm not going to tell you, it's directed by Kleber Mendonça
Filho and Juliano Dornelles.
And it stars, among others who I don't know, Sonia Braga. And it's taking place a little bit again in the future. It's this tiny little village in Brazil. They're mourning the loss of their matriarch, Carmelita. And they're very steeped in sort of old ways. They're very poor, very, very, very poor. But it's interesting to watch, their habits and how they live. But all of a sudden, they realize that they've disappeared. They have phones and they have a couple of computers that they use for teaching, and they're not disconnected from the world until they realize one day that they have disappeared off of they're no longer on Google Maps. They're no longer, you can't see it from a satellite. They're completely disappeared, and you see it for a second what looks like a UFO from Plan 9 from outer space, very old-fashioned kind. And it turns out you will discover very soon that it's a drone. And for some reason or other, the people of the village are being murdered. They're being picked off. They have to go figure out what's going on. And when they do figure out what's going on, it's very enraging. It's
another conspiracy?
It's not a conspiracy. It is, but you find out who's done it. It's all about greed, and not caring if you're killing off an entire village. I'm not sure why the village has been tagged, why they have been chosen to be annihilated. But there's so much interesting about their lives. They're very odd.
And then they fight back, right?
And then they fight back. It has a very...
if you couldn't hear the smile on Mimi's face, that was a smile.
It has a very satisfying end. It's odd. I don't know if you'll like it. Liron would have started watching it and would have stopped after 15 minutes. I tend to watch everything all the way through, and if I don't, you got to know it's really a terrible movie. This I found actually fascinating, and I stuck with it, even though the subtitles were white, which I hate. Anyway, it's called Bakurao.
And it's on KinoNow.com.
And if you want to see something interesting, I recommend it in an odd way.
Okay, now because we're running out of time, we have an announcement to make. Fingersmith,
I loved Fingersmith.
which I'm assuming most of you know, but it's the 2005 miniseries from author Sarah Waters, who also did Affinity and Tipping the Velvet.
Tipping the
Velvet,
which
I
was
know.
the best. It will
The
always
best.
be the best.
To me, Tipping the Velvet is the best, and then Fingersmith is right after.
Yes, I loved Fingersmith.
Fingersmith, of course, is lesbian-centric, and if you haven't seen it, there's also a fabulous Korean version of Fingersmith called The Handmaiden.
Is it The Handmaid?
The Handmaiden,
Oh, Maiden.
yes.
It is spectacular.
Which I have to say I even liked more, the Korean version.
Well, it's a completely different
It's completely
thing.
different,
Completely
yes, I know,
different.
but it was so good.
I loved this. Though.
Anyway, Fingersmith was great, starring Elaine Cassidy, Sally Hawkins, Imelda Staunton,
And Charles Dance.
Plays
Plays a very creepy man.
Anyway, the point we're telling you about it, even though it's from 2005 and we assume most of you have seen it, is because it is, as of November 30th, will be available on Acorn TV. So if you've missed it, if you haven't seen it in a while, it's a great opportunity to revisit it.
If you haven't seen it in a while and you want to see it again, which I've seen it several times, it's very clever.
Oh, yes. Very clever and very sexy.
Yes.
And if you haven't seen it yet, especially if you're a lesbian, then here's your chance.
Oh, absolutely. And
you must. It's one of the classics.
It's fascinating. It has little twists and turns, and I loved it. I love Sally Hawkins. She's a wonderful actress.
So, Fingersmith, available on Acorn TV November 30th. And now, right before we stop, because really we are way over time, but we just have to tell you, and in a day for you, we will have the last episode. And we know that we should actually wait and tell you about it afterwards. And we've told you about this before, but we just have to tell you how much we love
The Undoing. Oh my God. If ever there was a show that I wish we could have binged.
And actually, if you haven't seen it yet, Sunday will be the last
The
episode.
last,
Go
yes.
ahead and binge.
Yeah.
But be sure to make a room for 6 hours of your life all at once, because once you start, you won't
You're
want to
not
stop.
going to want to stop. It's really one of the best miniseries I've ever seen.
It's on HBO, starring Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant.
I
and
haven't
Donald
been able to figure out who done it, and that
Which is very
already
rare
makes
for
it
us.
brilliant, because usually we can tell in the first 10 seconds. Not really, but we are very,
really.
very good detectives when it comes to watching TV and movies. And not only is the acting fantastic, Hugh Grant is amazing, Lily Rabe, Donald Sutherland, I forget who the little boy is, but he's wonderful. I think he's also British in real life.
Really? In real life?
He's the son from A Quiet Place. And but it is to me a love letter to Manhattan. And every time I watch it, I get so homesick. I could
Noah
weep.
Jupe.
Oh, Noah Jupe.
Yes,
right,
and he
right.
is British, and we did see him in something else. I'm looking it up right now. Go ahead.
It is so beautifully photographed. It's both scary.
Oh,
but
he's
it's
been in a
supposed to be
million things
scary,
already. Sorry.
But it's also, it makes the city look like Oz. It is so magical. Every frame of the city is like a painting. And every time I see it, I think, oh my God, I want to be home. And then my friends remind me that
It doesn't look like that right
really
now.
like home right
but
now.
it will someday again.
Yes.
And anyway, it's so good
spectacularly
because on
good.
one hand, it's really suspenseful, and you don't know really what's going on. I mean,
every day
you know who what's going on. You just don't know who did
done it. And at this point, I really think it's almost anybody could have done it.
Anybody.
And the end of episode 5
was especially
is
really
a
good.
mind blower.
And also just the relationships, the way that they live. It's just so good. It's so
And
good.
Nicole's coat. My friend Debbie. My friend Debbie says that there's a whole, chat room online devoted to her coats.
Oh my God.
Yes, and we all want the green one except Liron.
No, I want the red one. I always have to be the different one. Anyway, The Undoing, if you haven't seen it yet, here is your chance to binge on the entire thing, which we're jealous that you can do. Sunday will be the last episode on HBO.
For Sunday night.
So thank you for joining us. We will have much more for you next week because we have movies lined up to tell you about.
For days.
Tis the season.
We've been watching 2 and 3 a day.
Tis the season to watch good movies. So
did we remind them that The Undoing is on HBO?
Yes. We will talk to you again next week. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay home.
Yes.
Bye.
Stay home and watch TV.
Exactly. Bye-bye.
Bye.